Armada Book 3 Chapter 7 The Simoties Part 1. Andrew's group arrived back to the human planet on which they dispensed the Sanat a few days ago. Olive reported, based on the Romat records, these people are called Simoties or Simotes and the planet is called. Wait Olive, let me guess, Simot. Yes Andrew, that is correct. Neanderthal, they served the Romats but when we woke them up from their dream state, they were at first confused but in a few days, they're back to normal. These are the most advanced of the humans we have encountered of late but the Romats did not allow them space travel. Ellie beams in. Sir, these are the most advanced people we have encountered under the Romats. Hi Ellie, Andrew greets her. Reek, then Eric, then Jenny and Lachine beams in. Hi guys, ready to make contact? Andrew asked. These humans are probably the most advanced humans we have met so far. Reek said. Roger and Kirk beams in. These humans are pretty advanced, don't you think so Kirk? Roger asked and Kirk nodded. Andrew thought they were indeed advanced, then he noticed that they seemed to have told him so several times. The floating holograph screens show shiny buildings, a lot of flying ships and water-based ships. There were vehicles and their cities looked well planned with beautiful parks and tree-lined streets. The planet has very large rainforests, some deserts and 2 large ice caps. Olive reported, the population is more than 300 million in one unified country. Their planet is 8% bigger than Earth with more ocean and larger ice regions. They have no standing army but they have a lot of police officers. They use wireless communications and they have over 300 satellites in orbit. The Norsets are figuring out their language and will be done with the translators in a few minutes. I have identified where their leaders are. These guys are also the most fashionable people so far. Jenny observed. I like that dress. Can we go down and buy one of those? Lachine asked. They all pay their commercial transactions electronically. They do not have cash. Olive explained. Where are their poor people? Roger asked. The poor neighborhoods could be this place here or places like this. Olive said. But the people are all well dressed. They could not be poor. Ellie said. Olive, send hackers into their computer databases and get intel. Andrew said. The Norsets have gone out as soon as we arrive. The Norsets report that news communications revealed that the leaving of the Romats were looked as a very bad event. It seems the Romats administrator was well liked. Ellie said. Olive, scan under the cities and tell the other ships to scan under the mountains and fields. Eric said. Exactly my thoughts Eric. Andrew said. Olive reported, there is a very large community under this mountain. The second largest city reveal a smaller community, deep underground. How deep? Andrew had to ask. Down to 300 meters deep. There is also a large community inside this very large cave with the ocean flowing in. There is a small one near the desert beside a river opening up to the ocean near a mountain. There are no other communities. Beam probes into those communities. Andrew said. Jenny, our people are also watching what we are watching, right? Lachine asked. Yes, they should be. For the guys in field operations they should be formulating action plans as the information unfolds before them. That's what I told my commanders when I was head of an infantry division, to watch the events in the field and move accordingly without expecting orders. The screens abruptly changed into one that is darker. Scenes with less light. The people look dirtier. The left screens show the mountain community. The caves were less lighted, some were wide and there was a small village at the entrance of the cave. The smaller underground community was darker, the people were dirtier and the alleys were smaller because both sides were lined up with small dwellings. Roger, do you see any guns or weapons? Andrew asked. Yes boss, a lot of weapons. Olive, have you identified their leaders of these cave people? Eric asked. Not yet. The groups are not consistent. Why don't we just talk to the topside people? Maybe they can explain this. Ellie said. The leaders are in this large stadium conducting a press conference on the recent events. Olive said. I like it. A dramatic entrance wouldn't hurt. Olive, can you beam a mist before we appear as holograms? Yes Andrew, but it will affect the optics of the hologram. I can produce a wind and light if you like. Fine, wind and light will do. The nation's president and governors were meeting with the press in a large convention hall to explain the recent events and how they intend to deal with the changes in identities. Suddenly a large and prolonged flashing light disrupted the meeting accompanied by a very large wind pressure surge. When the bright light dissipated, Andrew was on the stage flanked by all the people in the bridge. Greetings Simons, Andrew shouted. Sir, it's Simoties or Simotes? Ellie said as she leaned to whisper to Andrew. Greetings Simotes, Andrew shouted again. The people were stunned and remained quiet. My name is Andrew and these are my people, Ellie, Reek, Roger, Eric, Jenny and Lachine. Andrew announced. The president stood up from behind the table and, "My name is First Governor Dantoric. Who are you and why are you here?" Andrew looked at Ellie. "Didn't I just tell them our names?" He whispered to Ellie. Ellie took the task of explaining, "We are here because we asked the Romets to leave you guys alone. We dispensed a reagent we call Sanit and this neutralized the effect of the Romet chemical in your brain. You would have felt awakened from a long sleep and wondering who you were, and it usually is different from who you are now. Why? Who told you to do that and what gave you the right to do that to our people?" The president asked. "I take it you did not want to be awakened from a long dream state?" Reek asked. "No, we were doing just fine." Dantoric exclaimed. "No, you were not. You were beholden to the Romets." Roger argued. Andrew wanted a fast forward. "We were instructed by our leaders to make contact with your species. You are what we call Neanderthals, and your ancestors were brought here by a species called the Maccabees hundreds of thousands of years ago. Now as to the right to turn you back to your old selves, it is what we do. We have freed several Neanderthal planets from the Romets who enslaved them. In some cases we had to remove the Romets by force. In your case we convinced them to leave your planet to let you be on your merry way. Why did you not leave us the way we were?" A person from the audience shouted. "Then you will not be free and you will be subservient to any alien that comes around." Reek said. "Do you know that you have people living underground and in caves in the mountains?" Ellie asked. "We have no people living underground and in caves. Look at us," Dantoric said. The people laughed. "Olive, tag all these people," Andrew said. Olive exploded several tagging bombs and sent Max, who tagged the leadership. "Do you want to see these people?" Andrew asked. "There are none," Dantoric said. Olive, beam all of those tagged to the main cave, then under the city, then in the cave beside the sea. Andrew said. In less than 10 seconds, the group were returned almost to their same positions. "Did you see the people or not?" Andrew asked. "Yes, I did. But how did you do that?" Dantoric asked, puzzled. Reek approached some of them. "Did you see the people in the caves?" The person nodded. "How about you, did you see the people under the city?" The person nodded. "Okay, please tell us why there are people there." Andrew asked, looking at Dantoric. "I don't know," Dantoric said. "How long have you been president?" Ellie asked. 10 years. "Anybody here knows why there are people in the caves and under the cities?" Reek asked the audience. No one answered. "Because your mind was told to think so. Now your minds are free to think freely," Eric exclaimed. "Now do you understand why we had to do what we did and bring you out of your dream state?" Andrew asked. "Yes," Dantoric answered. Olive told Andrew via his implant that she had identified the leaders in the caves. "We will leave you for now. All of you, don't leave, we will be back to talk to you," Andrew told the audience. "There are leaders under the cities and there are also leaders inside the caves," Olive said. "Let's start with those in the caves. Olive, send taggers to tag the leaders," Andrew said. Olive beamed the group into the cave as holograms. "Greetings, Simonites. My name is Andrew, these are my people Ellie, Eric, Roger, Reek, Jenny, and Lachine." Ellie walked over to Andrew. "Sir, it's Simotes or Simoties?" Andrew nodded and understood. "Okay, which one of you is the leader of this group?" "I am the leader here, my name is Dantoric," a man said. He stepped out of the darkness and walked nearer. In the darkened light, it was hard to see movement and people. It took a while for them to adjust their vision. "I thought Dantoric was the governor." Reek started. "He used my name, but his real name is Buzabon. I am the real Dantoric." "Wait, all along he was using your name. How about you? What name were you using before you found out you were Dantoric?" Ellie asked. "I was using Sinusdon until I woke up." "I suppose you had something to do with that?" Dantoric asked. Andrew answered. "Yes, we have. We did that. First we asked the Romets to leave your planet before we dispensed the reagent that neutralized the effect of the Romet chemicals in your brain. So you wake up to your real selves. You asked the aliens to leave?" Dantoric asked. "Yes, and they left a few days ago," Andrew answered. "So there are no more aliens on the planet?" Dantoric added. "Well, if there are, they would be meek and slow in their movements. I don't think there are any Romet left." Andrew said. "I see you are carrying weapons. Were you at war with the aliens?" Roger asked Dantoric. "Yes, for a long time, but our people in the cities became subservient to them and followed all their directives. The people in the cities seem to be doing well." Ellie started. "Yes, but they follow the aliens and the laws they passed. The aliens made everything very convenient for them to reinforce the subservience as a good thing. But it's not. Each one is being tracked in anything the individual does. Even without the aliens, unless they remove the alien laws, they would be living their lives in oppressive convenience. Dantoric explained. The convenience is oppressive? Reek asked. Yes. They made everything so easy, but they lost their freedom and identity. So all the advanced technologies were from the Romits? Andrew asked. Yes, don't you know? Dantoric countered. So you guys want to be free and not lose your identity, so you removed yourselves from the people in the cities? Ellie asked. Yes, and we were free to decide to fight the aliens or not. In the cities you follow the law, and all the laws are interconnected to make sure you follow them and follow the aliens. But in doing so you cannot do anything else that you really want to do, like simply be yourself. The aliens even removed the use of money so they can monitor all transactions. Now in the absence of the Romits, how would you now relate to the city people? Jenny asked. First we will declare that their laws were laws of the aliens and not from their own free will. Then we will ask them to change their laws. Dantoric said. And if they do not? Andrew added. Then we will not follow their laws and we will follow our laws, and there will be a big fight that we will win because we are used to fighting. They have not fought anybody in all our history. You are not from the city? A woman's voice from the darkness. Dantoric explained, this is our leader, Wendy. She is also the leader of the people under the cities. She is the one who let us out and free ourselves from the aliens. Wendy walked over nearer. Wendy was tall with slightly bigger limbs. She was a redhead and was wearing a dark gray uniform similar to what Dantoric was wearing. She had 2 guns in brown leather holsters on both sides of her hip. Well, no, not really. But we came from there a while ago. Andrew said. I thought you were just lost in the caves or maybe from the university nearby. Wendy said. How long have the Romits been here? Ellie asked. Oh, maybe 30 or so years ago. Wendy answered. So that means some of the young people did not have an old identity. Reek said. Yes, like me, I was very young to even remember if I was different. Dantoric was over 30 when the aliens invaded, so he knows. Lachine butted in. I have lived in a cave and underground almost all my life that I can remember. Food is always hard. How is your food supply? Do you need food for your people? You're right, food is always hard to have. I don't suppose you have some to spare? Wendy asked. How many people are in the caves? Lachine asked Wendy. About 300,000 right now and maybe another 100,000 in the fields. Do you eat fish? Jenny asked. Yes, but I can't seem to remember having one for so long. Would you want us to bring fish for your people? Andrew asked. Yes, if you have some to share, why not? How about meat? Lachine added. Are you kidding? All the meat goes to the aliens. Only the very rich gets to eat meat. I suppose you have some to share also? Wendy asked. There is a community in a cave near the sea and another near the desert. Do you know them? Ellie asked. Dantoric answered, those are our people also. We made sure they have their own community just in case we all get killed here. Olive showed Andrew and the group on the screens that the ships have beamed fish and meat on ice outside the caves. The fish and meat are all outside for your people to take. Andrew said. Dantoric and Wendy walked briskly outside, almost hitting Andrew's hologram. The group disappeared. Andrew ordered, Olive, beam fish and meat into the underground cities as well, and the cave by the sea and near the desert. Good call, Lex, very good. Ellie said. I am sure the cities have hungry people also. If you look around, there is not much commerce, so I am sure the food is restricted. Lachine added. I believe so. Olive, identify the denser parts of the cities and beam fish and meat over there as well. Andrew agreed. It's a good thing we overproduced meat these past few days. Reek said. Do we go back to the city leaders or not? Eric asked. Andrew looked at Eric. I don't know, it seems to me the more we get involved the more the choices would be harder. There will be a power grab by the well-armed groups. Then they will change their laws and give more freedom for the people. Ellie said. Roger added, maybe we can just help them transition to a more peaceful and less restrictive society, or as Dantoric calls it, less oppressive convenience. At least maybe we can prevent a lot of people from getting killed. Olive, how do they generate power? Reek asked. They use the Romit reactors. We have to choose sides. I would go with Wendy for more freedom and identity. Roger said. Reek, is it time to eat? Andrew asked. You don't have to rub it in, Andrew. He means, are we going to invite some people for lunch? Ellie explained. The main hall would be nice. Eric said. Okay, I get it. Reek said. Come on, let's go. Olive? Lachine exclaimed. Olive beamed them to the main dining hall. Olive, get Wendy and the 2 Dantorics, please. Andrew said. Wendy and the 2 Dantorics appeared before them but looking out into space. Welcome to my ship, Wendy, Dantoric and the other Dantoric. The 3 turned around and saw Andrew and the group. Why don't we all have a seat? I will sit between the 2 of you. Ellie said as she pointed to the Dantorics. Jenny sat beside Wendy while Dr. Reek sat beside Dantoric. Andrew, Eric, Roger and Lachine sat across the table with Andrew facing Wendy. Then Olive got herself a body and played waitress. She beamed some ice cream on the table and some wines. Before we begin, your real name is Buzabon, right? Andrew pointed to the first Dantoric from the city. Yes, you are correct. Buzabon acknowledged. So you are aliens? Wendy asked. Yes and no. We are the same species. Andrew answered. Ellie began explaining their roots and the reason why they were in their planet. You always explain it so scientifically and with firm authority. Roger said. Thank you, Ellie. Andrew said. Why are we here? Wendy asked. Lachine reached out and, so we can let you taste this. She gave a cup of ice cream to Wendy that she prepared while Ellie was talking. She also gave one to Dantoric and she showed how to eat it. Jenny gave a cup to Buzabon and one for Andrew. Then she got a cup for herself. This is absolutely incredible. The taste, texture and everything is just heavenly. Wendy said. This is okay. Dantoric said. Okay, if the ice cream is just okay, take this Dantoric. Reek said. He gave Dantoric a cup of boofing wine. Lachine then opened another bottle for Buzabon and poured him a cup. This wine is incredibly good. Dantoric exclaimed. Thank you. What do you call this? Buzabon asked. Ice cream. Andrew answered. It's what brings species together in one table. Roger added. I see what you mean. This wine is very good. But the ice cream is heavenly. Wendy said. We can talk about ice cream and wine the whole day, we have so many varieties of those. Or we can talk about your problems. Lachine said. Very good, Lachine. We are here to help. Andrew said. That's what the aliens said. Dantoric quipped. But the aliens did not give us ice cream, Dantoric. Wendy said. There will be a power grab, the people on my right will grab the power from the guy on my left. There may be fighting on the streets and a lot of people could get hurt. Ellie explained. So you brought us here to tell us not to fight? Wendy asked. Andrew answered, we can tell you not to fight but we would rather ask you not to fight. We can be very persuasive and convincing in our ways. What is it that you think your people need? Reek asked Wendy. Food then energy, our schools and universities have stagnated. The Romet reactors are really not a very good source of energy. They are what we call dirty because of the radioactive problem. In fact, we gave the Romet Queen several fusion reactors and I sent some of our scientists to teach them the technology. Ellie said. We can give you some of our fusion reactors and teach your people. Andrew said. We will also teach you some food technologies. Ellie added. How is it that your cities looked so clean and advanced but your people are hungry and less learned? Lachine asked. Dantoric answered her, because the aliens made that so. And it's not good for the people. The primary issue is to remove all the laws made by the aliens that were not made for the people but were made to serve their purposes. Wendy explained. What do you think, Buzabon? Andrew asked. Some of the laws are good. Buzabon said. I would suggest we start from scratch. Start all over. We know what we need, we know the problems and we also know the solutions. Wendy said. Dantoric added, it's really very easy. Identify which laws were instigated by the aliens and remove them. What's wrong with starting from scratch? Andrew asked. It would not be a practical way to go about running a planet. It will cause confusion and maybe even riots and unrest. Buzabon explained. How about power sharing? Would you share with Wendy here the government of your planet? Andrew asked. They were not elected. I was elected. Dantoric sneered. You were elected while the people were dreaming and under the rule of the aliens. Your election has no meaning. How about an election? Andrew asked. Dantoric countered, a power grab as Ellie puts it would be easier for us. Why don't you just turn over the government to us, Buzabon? We will promise an election once all the laws of the aliens are removed. Wendy asked. I think it's fair. We will help you with our energy and food technologies. Reek said. Our preference is for more freedom and protection of individual rights to privacy, earning a living, to choose and to say whatever you want to say. And to use cash. Andrew explained. Wendy nodded. See, Buzabon, the aliens removed cash from our society as a means to control and monitor the people. The law must be changed. So the choice is war or share power with incentives. Roger summarized. You guys think about it. Ellie added. How would a power sharing look like? Buzabon asked. Dantoric explained, we head the council, you and some of your people can be partners removing the laws and setting up better institutions. It will be easier for us and the people will not be too affected. Well, they will be by the new laws. Wendy said. Several ships will be in space to help you with whatever you need. Our people will not go down to your planet unless you invite them. Andrew said. Let me talk to my people. I really don't like the laws either, but I also want to keep the people from getting harmed in any way. Beelzebub said. Olive, where's the brandy? Eric asked. A bottle of brandy appeared. Eric opened it while everybody was busy with the ice cream and wines. He poured a cup and gave it to Wendy. Then another for Dantoric. Andrew explained, we call that brandy. It's what keeps and binds friends together. You know, Andrew, this brandy is incredible, we can be friends forever. Wendy smiled at Andrew. Let's have something to eat, then we would tour this ship and my science ship. Ellie said. Olive produced several steaks with greens and corn on the side. She passed the heated plates along the table. Andrew and the guys were quick in demonstrating how to eat the steaks using the forks and knives on the table. Ellie started, these are green vegetables and the yellow things are called corn. This meat comes from animals we call cattle from a galaxy maybe 14 BLY away. And the guys are demonstrating how to eat this stuff. You travel from billions of light years away? Wendy asked. We're all over the place. Once you have finished reorganizing your planet, we would invite you to meet other human species and establish trade and cultural exchange. Jenny said. One of the most important benefits or incentives really that your planet will get from all of this is a longer life. Ellie said. This meat is soft and tasty. You can make me live longer? Dantoric asked. Yes. I assume you are more than 60 years old and maybe you assume you would live for another 30 or so years. If I get lucky 30 or so, if not maybe less. We can make you live up to 1,000 years. How's that? Reek asked. Hard to believe. But then this is all hard to believe. This meat is like a dream. Wendy said. Remember, these are part of the incentives for you to work together. Andrew explained. You have to take the longer life into perspective when you set up your new institutions. For example, you will be beset with able workers who are more than 100 years old. You would have to be creative and look for work for them. Reek added. I think that we should start creating an education program for large numbers of humans in all the planets we have made contact with rather than loose our Armada scientists to do the teaching. Andrew said. Ellie countered, if we continue doing this, I would lose all my people. Roger suggested, create an exchange program. Send the students to the humans, Inkies, Max and Norsets. Let them provide for their food and education rather than burdening the developing planets. Exactly what I have in mind. Andrew said. We do have 10,000 from Rodin to allocate half of which for this planet. Ellie said. I think they are talking about larger numbers. Jenny said. I think the 5,000 we got for our people will not really have a big impact. A larger number, say 100,000, would definitely have an immediate effect on our planet. Lachine said. We'll do both. Rodin's people are already there anyway. Andrew said. Wendy clarified, so Ellie, you will get 100,000 of our smartest people and teach them the technologies that will help our people? Yes, it could take a while for them to come back, maybe 4 years, so in the meantime we will provide 5,000 people here to teach your people. So what's in all of this for you? What do you demand of us? Beelzebub asked Andrew. No demands really, a simple request that you treat me and my people, including all the aliens in this ship and in our galaxies, as equals. Equal to us? Wendy asked, perplexed. Yes. Andrew answered. Everything follows after that. Reek added. Okay, we can do that. That's what I plan to do anyway. I guess we got ourselves a bargain. All this for treating you equal to us? Dantoric asked. You people are very strange. Beelzebub concluded. Exactly my feelings when I first heard them say this, but you'd be surprised. I was. Lachine said. Olive appeared. Andrew, the wedding will start in 10 minutes. What wedding? Wendy asked. As captain of the ship he can wed people. The weddings are usually conducted here in this hall. Olive explained. Ellie, Reek, why don't you guys tour our guests around this ship then at Ellie's ship? Andrew said. After a few minutes a large group of more than 100 people have slowly converged in the hall. This is a human wedding, so it's easy. The Marinti wedding is confusing while Cerudum's people is long with a lot of mumbling. Andrew said. I do that too in my ship. Roger said. The crowd has now swelled to more than 200 with various alien species getting seated among the round and square tables in the hall. There are several alien species here and some of them wear the same uniform as the other species. Wendy observed. Lachine explained, those belong to the Marines, a shock and attack group. Some cannot wear the human uniform so they created their own. Some use their old uniforms from their old Armada. Andrew stood up and said, I will see you guys later. I have to perform my captainly duties. Wendy turned to look at Andrew. I want to see your wedding. So Andrew is also a priest, Ellie? Dantoric asked. No, he's not, but ship tradition states that ship captains can wed their crew. It so happens we have several species as crew, so weddings can get a bit tricky. We do have a priest, but he's in another ship doing something else. Reek added. Are you married, Wendy? Lachine asked. Yes, married to my job. We don't have a lot of weddings because of the war. I remember attending only 2 in my lifetime, both of them when I was a kid. Like Ellie here. Roger said. Buzaban explained, the alien laws make it hard to wed. There are so many laws in place to prevent weddings. But they do still happen. No weddings mean no babies. No babies mean less people to manage. Even if you get lucky to get married, you are limited to 1 offspring. Dantoric said. That's not good. Ellie said. The aliens attribute this to the scarcity of food and the limited space in the cities. Buzaban said. I like her wedding dress. So white and clean. The design is fluttery, so light and airy. I like that, light and airy. Wendy said. Dantoric sighed, so far from a cave. There will be a celebration right after the wedding. Usually, this will last several days in several ships. Ellie said. If you stick around, you might get to dance with the bride and groom. And later get to drink a lot of wines and brandies. Roger said. I like that. Wendy said. The Simotes became accidental wedding crashers. They stayed throughout the wedding, and Wendy got to dance with the groom and other people, while Dantoric and Buzaban got to dance with the bride and the other women. The brandy did the trick, and Wendy seemed to have an affinity to the brandy more than to the wines. Buzaban, how are you sure that we have not put you under some mind control magic? Reek asked. If you did, I'm okay. I think we are all out of brandy. It seems like Wendy got more than Dantoric and I. Olive, another bottle please. Reek said, and a bottle appeared before Buzaban. How do you do this? Make something appear like magic? Buzaban asked. It's not magic. If I explain to you now, you will forget tomorrow. I will explain to you when you're sober. The real question is if Buzaban is not in a dream state anymore. Dantoric asked. Have you ever dreamed of being drunk, Dantoric? Buzaban countered. Dantoric laughed. You got me there. Ellie approached the group. So you guys are bonding already. That's good. After this we have to show you the ship. Can we do it tomorrow? Thank you, Buzaban. Dantoric said after Buzaban filled his cup with brandy. Sure, no problem. Why don't we have a get-together tomorrow? Your leaders and Buzaban's leaders. We can start off with some solid question and answer, analysis of the situation and potential problems. Then, we'll have lunch and some drinks. Let's have your leaders get to know and even bond with each other. Ellie said. I'm okay with that. Hey, it's all good from here on. No more war and no more aliens. Dantoric exclaimed. How many can I bring? Buzaban asked. How many will you bring, Dantoric? Ellie asked. Maybe 15. Ellie looked at Buzaban. Then bring 15 also. Buzaban nodded. Right. Thanks, Dantoric. This time Dantoric poured brandy into Buzaban's glass. Wendy and Andrew came over and sat beside Ellie. I have not danced since I was a little girl. Well, you do dance like a little girl. Andrew said. Wendy laughed. Reek seemed to be a real good dancer, Andrew. I had a hard time keeping up. Wendy commented. If you had to keep up, you need practice and a good dance instructor. Andrew said. Sir, the two agreed to bring 15 people each tomorrow for a working summit. Then lunch, then a drinking party afterwards. It seems the brandy is magical. Ellie said. I like that, Ellie. How did you ever get the two to agree? Wendy asked. The two bonded already. The brandy did the trick, and I was hoping it will do the trick also with the leaders from both sides. Thank you, Ellie. You don't know how much you have achieved with those two. Why is that? Andrew asked. Dantoric hates Buzaban because he used his name, while Buzaban hates Dantoric. That's why he used his name. They have never seen eye to eye on anything. They also agreed to have the tour tomorrow so they can go on drinking together tonight. Ellie added. I like to tour your ship, Andrew. Wendy said. Ellie, take Jenny and Lachine and tour our guest around. Andrew said. Dantoric saw Wendy and the women leave the hall. Wendy wants a tour of the ship. Andrew said. Andrew sat with Reek to work on the two Simotes. Reek started. You know, Dantoric, we sometimes feel inadequate to respond to your needs. And it would really help us if you do not hesitate to tell us anything or ask for anything. Just anything. Andrew added, that is so true. As you can see, we are a military armada. We go to war against intergalactic armies. To deal with problems like yours is really beyond our capabilities. But as Dr. Reek said, if you can tell us anything that you need or think you need, we would work on it to help you out. Roger and Eric sat beside Buzabon to join in their bonding session. Olive, 2 bottles of brandy please. Andrew said.